IPART, the Independent Pricing and Regulatory Tribunal, has released its final report on solar feed-in tariffs. So this is the amount you get back per kilowatt hour if you have solar panels and you feed power into the grid. These voluntary payments are due to be cut from about between 11 and 15 cents per kilowatt hour to 6.9 to 8.4 cents from the start of this month. And now there have been critics of this recommendation from IPART, including the Greens and Labor, and I'm joined now by New South Wales Labor's energy spokesman Adam Searle. Good morning.
Good morning, Melinda. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you. Look, IPART's final report, the regulator justifies this by saying, why should households who don't have solar panels have to pay higher retail prices just to cut the bills of people who can afford solar panels? That seems reasonable, doesn't it?
Well, no, IPART has completely lost its way. The fact is the 380,000 households across New South Wales that do have rooftop solar, and I'm one of them, together they make a contribution to our shared energy needs, which has saved something like over $2 billion off the price of wholesale electricity costs for everyone. So having all of this solar being fed into the system is actually acting to keep wholesale electricity prices lower than they would otherwise have been. So that's the first point. So rooftop solar actually helps keep power prices down. The second thing to understand is that to the extent that people are generating their own electricity, they're not draining the electricity being produced by the other generators in the system. So to the extent that people are being, to a degree, self-sufficient, is actually helping take the pressure off the rest of the system to produce the power we all need. And what this decision is doing by cutting the recommended feed-in tariff by nearly half is acting as a disincentive for more people to put rooftop solar on, and it's actually a slap in the face for the people who, as I've said, are actually helping to keep energy costs lower than they would otherwise have been.
So are you saying, just so I can be clear here, are you saying that IPART, the regulatory body here, is using the wrong rationale for setting prices?
I do indeed. They're looking at it completely the wrong way. IPART is saying something like this. Yes, rooftop solar has helped to act as a brake on wholesale electricity prices, but because wholesale prices are coming down, they don't need as much for their feed-in tariff. So that kind of logic really defeats the outcome. You know, by acknowledging what solar energy has done for the grid and done for shared energy needs, the decision then to effectively create a disincentive for solar energy is completely counterintuitive. But we must come to expect this from IPART, because this is the same body who only a year or two ago produced a report on electricity prices which said electricity prices today are no higher than they were 5 years ago. I mean, that's just not people's real world experience.
But that blatantly, it doesn't square with people's experience of opening their bill each month, or each quarter. But there are two ways of looking at this, aren't there? Because IPART's saying that it's not fair that people who can't afford solar panels are having to pay higher retail prices. That this disadvantages households who are unable to install a solar system themselves. I understand the incentive argument, but if you just simply can't afford to put in the infrastructure in the first place, why should you have to pay higher retail prices?
Let me tackle that. I actually agree with that, and that's where I think government needs to act resolutely to assist lower income households so that they can access the benefits of renewable energy, in particular solar. And I think that is a legitimate criticism, and the state government does need to act in that space, and New South Wales Labor will have something to say about that as we head towards the election. But that's like saying, to the extent that you can be self-sufficient, you should still be treated as if you weren't being self-sufficient. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, it's not that people without solar are being asked to pay a higher price. They're paying the going price. But if you can, by having solar, make a contribution to shared energy needs and bring your own bills down, then that is a good thing. And the fact is that should not be disincentivised, not simply because it affects the bottom line of those households with solar, but because of their collective contribution.
Adam, so we will have to leave it there, but thank you very much for your time, and as you said, I'm sure we'll hear more about this in the lead up to next March's state election. Thanks again.
Indeed. Cheers, bye.
That's Adam Searle, who is the New South Wales Labor energy spokesman. On your